Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, my pranams to
Hare
you.
Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. Hare Krishna Ajay. Hare Krishna. Sharadji, good to see you. Oh, have your presence. Hare Krishna. I hope everyone doing well.
Yeah, okay here, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Very nice. Very nice. Good to hear. Good to hear. So let's resume back to our Shri Īśopaniṣad sessions. Let's do the prayers first, Mangala Charan, and then we shall resume back to Shri Īśopaniṣad and take it where we left. We will do a quick recap because last was the first session, and Shri Īśopaniṣad is a beautiful grantha being put together by Ved Vyasa, and the way Srila Prabhupada has narrated it. It's there's some of the concepts which we get it. That's, as I said, just the one verse, if we can understand, that's good enough to have a great spiritual life, which we all seek for. So, let's start from the Mangala Charan. Ajnanatimirandasya Jnanajanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yudapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Raghunath Vitam Shakha Vitam Cha Shri Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kirpau Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachat Deshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Oh, the ki jai Gurudev Maharaj ki jai Samved Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Good to see you, Mataji. Danvat Pranams. Hare Bol. So the auspiciousness, the Mangala Charan we do at the beginning, it's so great. We seek the blessings and the mercy of the acharyas, the Vaishnavas, and the mantra itself. So there are many mantras there. We did a session just on Mangala Charan. So we went through understanding each and every word of this Mangala Charan. And if you remember, if not, that's there on YouTube. If you do remember, then there is a mantra for Guru. There is a mantra for one of the main prominent Acharya, Rupa Goswamiji. There is a mantra for Krishna, Radha. There is a mantra for all the Vaishnavas, all the senior Vaishnavas whom blessings you would like to take before you start. And even if you don't get any of those, the sound vibrations, hopefully you able to feel it. And I personally had the great experience as well. So before that, Srila Prabhupada once, so when he came back, so he went to US, he came back to his local place and he was giving a sermon. There were many English speaking there, but there were others as well who could not understand Hindi a lot, or could not understand English. And then they were just about to go. And some of them, they stood up and they were going. And Srila Prabhupada said to the organizer, ask them to sit down. And the organizer went, tried it and came back. Srila Prabhupada, they are leaving because they don't understand English. And Srila Prabhupada said, even if they can't understand the language, still request them to stay back. Just the vibration itself, we do the magic. And I remember myself many years back, roughly 18, 20 years back, I was traveling in National Express here in UK from Sheffield to London. And there was a guy sitting next to me who was Arabic or African. And I could hear the music he was listening. It was so loud. And I had to request him to turn it down. But while I did it, I also asked that, do you understand this language? And he said, no, I don't. I said, well, can I listen? Because it feels very familiar. When I did it, then yes, it was Bollywood music. It was a song, I don't remember which song, but it was a song by Dalher Mendi. If you know, he used to be very famous. I don't know these days if he's famous, but some of his songs are great. And he was listening to those without understanding a single word out of it. After that, I spent many years being a student. I'm still a student in many terms. And needless to say that there are many people around. Hopefully we have certainly, I can say for myself, first time when I heard Srimad Bhagavatam verses, and still do, even if I don't understand the meaning, I can at least feel the vibrations in those Sanskrit verses. So hopefully, even if you didn't understand each and every word of those Mangalacharan prayers, I hope I still did a bit of justice to you. So Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for everyone's presence. Let's take it to the second session now from the first session. If there is any comment, any questions, any remarks, feel free. And those who have joined us first time, we are always open. Feel free to raise your virtual hand, or you can raise your physical hand, but because your cameras are off, I can't see you. So it's better you raise your virtual hand, or just say anything you like in the chat, or unmute yourself and speak out at any time. Feel free. So the whole point of having these sessions, that this should be interactive. There should be a discussion going, and in between I always stop and ask, but feel free as and when something comes along in your mind, because the whole idea is that we should grasp it. There's no deadline that by what we need to finish. So we are doing Īśopaniṣad. Well, deadline in a sense, we do have an hour. So we do 8:30 to 9:30. Sorry, 9:30 to 10:30. And but within Īśopaniṣad, there are 18 verses. We call them mantras. Īśopaniṣad is one of those Upanishad which Srila Prabhupada did the commentary on. He narrated those verses a lot, and we can see the reason why. And let's resume back. But if anyone has anything now, or as it comes through in your mind, please feel free to contribute. Hare Krishna. So the way it goes, because the sessions goes live online, and I keep a watch on them, because sometimes some of the devotees, they ask me to speak in Hindi, especially on YouTube. So I try to do English and Hindi. So bear with me. Sometimes it's good because we reiterate, and this is what Srila Prabhupada also said, and many acharyas, many great teachers in the world, they have done the same thing. Few of those things which are really the essence, you don't want your audience to miss, teachers do repeat again and again. And doing in English and Hindi, it always helps us to re-emphasize on those important things. So सभी हिंदी भक्तों का स्वागत है. हरे कृष्ण. So हमने जहाँ श्री ईशोपनिषद का पहला सेशन लास्ट वीकेंड किया था, हम वहीं से शुरुआत करेंगे. अगर आपकी कोई भी कमेंट्स हैं, रिमार्क्स हैं, कोई भी क्वेश्चंस हैं, तो फील फ्री, कभी भी आप पूछ सकते हैं और किसी भी भाषा में पूछ सकते हैं, इंग्लिश और हिंदी, और हम हमेशा ऐसे ही डिस्कशन करते हैं. तो चलिए हम श्री ईशोपनिषद को रिज्यूम करते हैं जहां हमने छोड़ा था. Let's quickly recap where we left. So the very first thing I mentioned that these are the presentation I'm using from Radhesham Prabhuji. So he has very nicely put together these presentations, and this is the set I'm using at the moment. There are a few more, we might come back. There's another set of presentation I have, and maybe we will go back on them as well. We understood the meaning of Upanishad. It's a Sanskrit word to sit down near. So उपनिषद का मतलब हम समझ सकते हैं किसी के पास, जैसे हमने कहा उपवास, किसी के पास बैठना, टीचर के पास बैठना, अपने गुरु के पास बैठना. इसी तरीके से उपनिषद वो ग्रंथ हैं जहां आचार्य के गुरु के पास बैठ के शिष्यों ने ये ज्ञान लिया था. उस ज्ञान को उपनिषद कहते हैं. तो जितने भी हमारे उपनिषद हैं वो कन्वर्सेशन हैं, वो टॉक्स हैं, ज्ञान है जो डायरेक्टली एक टीचर ने अपने एक शिष्य को या कई शिष्यों को पास ऑन किया था. सो उपनिषद इज दैट डायरेक्ट नॉलेज बीन गिवन बाय द टीचर टू द स्टूडेंट. Obviously the content is much more spiritual than material. So we understood Vedas. Vedas are the hymns chanted by priests in praise of gods, and there are 4 Vedas: Rig, Yajur, Sama, Artha. तो हमने ये भी देखा कि जो वेद हैं, वेद क्या हैं? भगवान को ग्लोरीफाई करने के लिए जो वर्ड्स यूज करते हैं उनको हम वेद कहते हैं. लेकिन वेदों को शुरू में सिर्फ एक ऋग्वेद था, उसको फिर थीम्स के बेस के ऊपर, पर्पस के बेस के ऊपर 4 में बांटा गया: ऋग, यजुर, साम, अर्थ. और Ved, the language of Vedas were such a complex, and to a great extent still is. And that's the reason we got to the Vedavyasji got to the level of Upanishad, and later from Upanishads to Puranas. क्योंकि वेदों को समझना, संस्कृत में रिसाइट कर पाना बहुत ही कठिन है. इसी वजह से उपनिषद बने और उपनिषद के बाद में हमारे पुराण. जो वेद हैं, वेदों के अंदर जो बहुत बड़ा एक हिस्सा है वो देवी देवताओं के लिए है. भगवान और देवी देवताओं में जो अंतर है इसके ऊपर हम काफी डिस्कस कर चुके हैं. तो भगवान है अगर स्कूल के अंदर प्रिंसिपल, तो देवी देवता हैं सब्जेक्ट मैटर एक्सपर्ट्स. तो मैथ्स के कोई टीचर हो सकते हैं, साइंस के टीचर्स हो सकते हैं, केमिस्ट्री के टीचर्स हो सकते हैं. इफ वी कंसीडर द वे वी कुड अंडरस्टैंड, इफ द principal of a school is the god, is the Lord, then the demigods are the subject matter experts. They are the teachers for specific reasons, and these are the placeholders. For example, maths teacher will have a name, and today's maths teacher could be someone else, and tomorrow's maths teacher could be someone else. So maths teacher for a school or for a year is just a placeholder. Anyone who is qualified and been appointed could take that place. Same or similar understanding is for the demigods, or what we call देवी देवता. तो जिस तरीके से हम समझ सकते हैं कि देवी देवता हैं, जैसे अग्नि है, अग्नि देव, वो फायर, अग्नि को कंट्रोल करते हैं, तो उनकी ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. So this particular responsibility has been given to one. Now, once we reach to that level, and in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna has given to Arjuna many different levels based on our own understanding, right? So someone's based on the karma and the gunas. If somebody is more attractive towards karma kanda or towards karma, it's a different understanding, right? But Krishna has given gradual elevation to everyone. From karma kanda, we can move to the karma. We can, and then in karma we have 3 different ones. We did that in chapter 3 Bhagavad Gita. Then moving on to the jnana, ashtanga, dhyana, and then bhakti yoga. Either we could go straight there, or we can take the steps. Now, straight to Bhakti Yoga devotional practices is like taking the lift from ground floor to the top floor. And taking all these different parts in between is like taking the steps, going from first floor, second floor, third floor to the top level. The destination is, the process is bhakti. The destination is to be the pure devotee of Krishna, the Lord itself, as it explains in the Shastras. तो जिस तरीके से अगर हमको ऊपरी मंजिल, हमारी जो डेस्टिनेशन है वो टॉप मोस्ट लेवल पे पहुंचना है, अगर हम भक्ति लेते हैं तो हमारे ग्रंथों में आता है कि भक्ति, जो भक्त है वो इस तरीके से पहुंचता है जैसे कि ग्राउंड लेवल से आपने सीधे टॉप लेवल तक लिफ्ट ली है। लेकिन अगर आप बीच के जितने भी मार्ग हैं उनको लेके जाते हैं, कर्म मार्ग आप लेंगे, ज्ञान लेंगे, ध्यान लेंगे, अष्टांग लेंगे, वो ऐसे है जैसे कि आप एक लेवल के बाद दूसरे लेवल पे धीरे 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 पहुंच रहे हैं। पर वेदों को समझना मुश्किल है, लेकिन उपनिषद के बाद उपनिषदों में बहुत कुछ जो समझाया गया है वो भगवान के, जिस तरीके से हमने कहा भगवान के 3 लेवल, 3 एस्पेक्ट्स हम समझ सकते हैं, ब्रह्मन रियलाइजेशन, परमात्मा रियलाइजेशन, भगवान रियलाइजेशन। तो उपनिषद में जो है सबसे ज्यादा ब्रह्मन रियलाइजेशन है, और जो श्री ईशोपनिषद में भी उभर के आएगा वो ब्रह्मन रियलाइजेशन है। लेकिन उसके बाद में जैसे हम लेटर चैप्टर मंत्र 15 देखेंगे जो डायरेक्टली भगवान के बारे में है, so the understanding will be more clear, and this is what we need, whether we understand Vedas, Upanishads or Puranas, our understanding should be clear. Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Brahman has quite a few meanings, and I try to understand from different sources, but I find it difficult. When Brahman is mentioned, it sometimes means the whole cosmic manifestation. I know it, and it is one of the what I would say, one of the realization of Krishna. But it also means other meanings. Brahman means you are Brahman yourself, which I think could be Paramatma. So please, can you explain, Prabhuji, please?
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, 2 ways of understanding. The very first basic understanding for Brahman, I will say the realization, so the self-realization, when we understand, not only when we say, but we truly understand that we are not this body, we are the spiritual soul. I will say the person is Brahman realized. So very first level, very first level, we understood that we are a spiritual soul and not the material body. That's the first, the simple most thing. Now the second, in context of Paramatma and Bhagwan, the second level, if you understand, let's take the analogy of the sun. So the sun is shining and the sunlight is falling on me, and I realize the sun is falling on me. Let's consider that as Brahman realization. Sunlight is falling on me. I'm self-realized. Nobody needs to tell me. And even if somebody will tell me something else, I will understand that this is my self-realization. I can see, and it's quite evident that sun is falling on me. That's Brahman realization, that I have realized I'm a spiritual soul, not the material body, what usually we identify. The second level of realization is when I realize not only this light is falling on me, but this light is falling on everyone. Everyone. Which means not only that I am a spiritual, everyone is a spiritual. So the same sunlight is falling on me, Brahman realization. The same sunlight is falling on everyone else, Paramatma realization. This sunlight is not only for me, this sunlight is within everyone. So this is Paramatma in everything and everyone. So both living and non-living. That's the second. Now the third is when we go out and we can see the sun, then we can see the source of the light falling on me, the source of the light falling on everyone else. So Brahman realization just for myself. And because I am Brahman, then obviously the next step will be I can see everything else is also Brahman, but that particular realization is the Paramatma realization. And then the source when we can see is Krishna, or the sun, then we can understand that yes, this is Bhagwan realization. However, you're so right, Mataji, that Brahman realization, and that's the reason that devotees will not able to get to the Brahman, will not look for the Brahman realization. However, the Brahman realization will be the byproduct of Bhagwan realization. If we have seen, if we are looking at sun, then of course sun is falling on us, right? So Brahman realization will be part of it, but it's very, because it's abstract. So the sun is there, but the light is like energy of the sun, and that's why it is. Brahman is the energy of the Lord, and all the demigods, if we see, they pray. So in Brahm Samhita, Lord Brahma prayed, Indra came down, he said sorry to Krishna, and then Adi Devas, when the material world was created, and this is in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, at the end, chapter 5, Adi Devas, they pray to Lord, and if we say, it's so clear. So there are 51 verses in chapter 5 of Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam, and very clearly, very directly, all the demigods said that your bhakti is the main. And then 1 to 7, then we say, which is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapter 2, and verse 7. And that's where Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan realization, they all are the aspects of the same. So Brahman realization is just that abstract understanding that I am that spiritual soul. However, you also correctly said, Mataji, that everything is Brahman. Not only that I am Brahman, everything else is also Brahman. But when I realize everything is Brahman, then that's the beginning of the second level, which is Paramatma realization. So just
has it got any other meaning? Or this is what you have explained? This is what I've understood. But sometimes in the context of the literature, at times I don't understand the Brahman in what sort of, what should I interpret when it is mentioned in a particular sense? So does it have any other meaning?
Sometimes we get confused between Brahma and Brahman, but if you just concentrate on Brahman, it should not have any other meaning.
Okay.
I don't know if, if Mataji, do you think, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Did you finish, VP Govinda Prabhu?
Yes, please, go on, Mataji.
No, thank you so much, Puja Mataji, for the question. It's nice to see you as well.
Okay, yes, thank you, Mataji.
Lovely to see you, and thank you for the question, as I said. And yeah, I agree with what VP Govinda Prabhu's shared so far about, you know, the three different stages, and the example of the sun is really helpful as well. I think, I mean, I've heard, you know, I'm a teacher, and my favorite subject to teach actually is English. And I often speak to children about, you know, looking up words and looking at the different contexts, because there are multiple meanings, multiple contexts of just one word. Like even if we say saw, like I saw the tree, that could mean I saw it yesterday, or literally right now I've got a saw in my hand and I'm sawing the tree, right? So I think it's a really interesting point you've made about, like, when you see that word, does it always mean one thing? No, it doesn't. It could mean so many things. And also it depends on the consciousness of the person who's writing and speaking, because when some people say, I am Brahma, like, you know, Srila Prabhupada writes, Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit soul, you know, they think that that's the all in all and that they're God, right? But whereas someone who understands the full picture, understands that, okay, I'm a spirit soul, I am Brahman, but there is also Para Brahman. Srila Prabhupada often writes that in his text. So Brahman is the spirit soul, the Jivatma, the, you know, the tiny spark, but the full fire, right? The source, what is it? Nitya Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam, Eko Bahunam Yo Vedadati Kaman. This is also from the Upanishads, that it's saying that Nitya Nityanam, out of all the eternals, out of all the Brahmans, out of all the spirit soul, there is a Para Brahman, there is a supreme eternal, right? The Lord. who is maintaining everyone else. They're all conscious, but like I can feel the pain in my body. I have like chronic pain since a long time, but no one else can feel that, you know? Only I can feel that. But because Krishna is the Paramatma, the Para-Brahman in everybody's heart, that means he feels the pain of everyone. He knows what everyone's going through. We don't know each other's because we are not that supreme source. So that's another context. You can see it in that there's Brahman, but there's also Para-Brahman. You know, there's the Atma, but then there's the Paramatma. And it's like there's a drop in the ocean, but then there's the whole ocean. We can drink a drop, but if someone says, can you drink the whole ocean? No, we can't. So our power is limited like that. So that's, and also I'd love to hear anyone else's thoughts on this, but there's also like the, what we call like Sat Chid Ananda. So, you know, we could relate the different 3 stages of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan to those 3 stages of realization as well of Sat Chid Ananda. So Sat means like eternal. We understand that we're eternal. We don't just like Vipika Govinda Prabhu said, because we're not the body, when the body dies, like we don't die. So that's the first step. I realize I'm eternal. But then there's more, because Paramatma means, okay, like I'm related to the people around me. Like there's a supreme source that's all pervading everywhere. You know, so Chit, you have more knowledge. But then Ananda is the best, because that is about loving relationships. You can't have loving happiness, true happiness, without loving relationships. So knowing like what is my relationship with God and other people, and it's really perfected by service. The greatest happiness is service. I think Mahatma Gandhi said, you can find yourself by losing yourself in the service of others, and that brings the greatest ananda, the greatest happiness. So these are a few thoughts I had. I'd love to hear what you think about that.
Yeah, I think, yes, you've explained it quite nicely. It was, as you said, in context, I have to understand that, and you explained that very well, Mataji.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Now, next time I come across Brahman, I will think what we have discussed today, and if I got any sort of questions, then I will always ask Prabhuji in the next session or yourself. But it's very well explained, Mataji. Thank you.
No, I'm glad you find it helpful. Thank you. It's reminding us all, actually. It's been really helpful for me to reflect. And thank you, Vipika Govinda Prabhu, for putting it in the chat so we can see the words. So Sat, Brahman, Chit, Paramatma, and Ananda is Bhagavan. So it's personal. You know, a lot of people think God, because that's Sat, it's just light. You know, Krishna says in the Gita, Brahmano hi pratishtaham, that I am the source of that. You know, that sometimes people like to merge into just the light, but you just exist. When you're eternal, you just exist. But in Ananda, you have, it's like a mountain, actually. You know, if you see a mountain from far away, it's just a silhouette. It's just a black sort of shadow and outline. And then when you get it, this is another example Srila Prabhupada gives. And then when you get a bit closer, you can see, oh, like there's colors here. There's like greens, maybe for the trees. You know, there's so many different colors, you know, maybe reds and blues. And then when you go on the mountain, you know, on this island, we could say, then you see, oh, wow, there's people here. There's animals, there's plants. And I can talk to them. I can interact with them. So that's the 3 stages, like the silhouette. I can see a bit more when I go closer with the colors, but when I actually go on the island, wow, I actually feel my full happiness here when I'm interacting with people. It's more personal. I hope that example helps as well.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Very well. Thank you.
Very well.
Very well. Thank you so much, Mataji, for asking question, and thank you so much, Mataji, for your contribution. Great explanation, great understanding. And yes, we will cover this, and that's so true, Mataji. So in Indian wisdom, if I say, we have many school of thoughts, and one is, well, we have Dvaita and Advaita. So Dvaita is a literal meaning if we say dual, Dvaita. So it's a dual. Advaita, so in Sanskrit, whenever we put at the front, that negates it. So Advaita, which means not two. So not two means it's one. So Dvaita is when we understand that we and God, we are different. So God is there and we are not God, but we are part and parcel of God. And that's another level of understanding which Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji said, that we are simultaneously same and not same. So qualitatively we are same and quantitatively we are different. Like the example Mataji gave, that there is a big ocean and we can take a drop of the ocean. We can take the one drop. All the qualities, all the chemical composition will be exactly same. So the quality is the same, but the quantity compared to that massive, huge ocean, that drop could never be compared. And this is the relationship we have with God. But those who focus on Advaita, it stays on the level of Brahman realization. So the last verse of chapter 14 in Bhagavad Gita, which is there in the chat which Mataji referred, that says that so the Lord himself, so when Krishna is departing the knowledge to Arjun, then Krishna has said this, that Brahman is actually, I'm the base of Brahman, I'm the source of Brahman. And in Upanishad, Brahman has been glorified because the whole focus is Brahman realization. Because when Upanishads came and when Adi Shankaracharya ji came, that was the need of the hour, if I say, because then just before him, before Adi Shankaracharya ji, we had Gautam Buddha, and Buddha was giving his what we call Shunyavadi philosophy. So he rejected all the Vedas, and then he also had a great purpose behind it, because then there were Brahmins, and I will say in some terms they were kind of corrupt Brahmins because they had a hidden agenda. They were enjoying the life in light of Vedic injunctions, where just focusing on the karma kanda, where they could sacrifice and they could take benefit out of them. When Buddha came, Buddha wanted to stop them. So that was a great purpose behind his teaching. And then the next, again, is a gradual elevation. Then Adi Shankaracharya again, then Ramanujacharya, then Madhvacharya, and then and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji around 550 years back. So this is the understanding we are taking further. But if we see Srimad Bhagavatam and even in Upanishad, so obviously Shri Īśopaniṣad is one of them, and that's the reason we are going through Shri Īśopaniṣad study, so we can understand this much better. And what we said that so Brahman realization, Paramatma and Bhagavan realization, that will be even more clearer later, what Mataji was saying. There are a couple of references here. Very quickly, I will mention, and then we will move on. I think we did cover that. So those references are there, if in case we would like to refer them. Now, in Upanishads, many of those things, as I said, the very first thing is the spiritual. We need to understand that we are not this body. So when the driver is sitting in the car and the driver is driving the car, the very first thing we need to understand that the car is not moving itself. Car is not moving itself, the driver is making the car move. तो हमको ये समझने की बहुत बहुत जरूरत है कि हम स्पिरिचुअल, हम आध्यात्मिक हैं, हम भौतिक नहीं हैं. हम भौतिक संसार में हैं लेकिन हम आध्यात्मिक हैं. ये रियलाइजेशन होना हमारे लिए सबसे पहले जरूरी है, क्योंकि इसके बाद फिर हम आगे कार्य कर पाएंगे, हम आगे भक्ति में बढ़ पाएंगे. So the absolute truth as non-material, जो absolute truth है. तो अगेन अगर हम श्रीमद् भागवतम को रेफर करते हैं तो श्रीमद् भागवतम कैंटो 1 चैप्टर 2 वर्स 6 के अंदर जब ऐसे कहा जाता है कि जीवस्य तत्व जिज्ञासा, the whole purpose of the life is to inquire, and they inquire about what? Tattva. And what is that tattva? That tattva is absolute truth. So that absolute truth, some people. So the next verse 1 to 7 says, a lot of us, we understand that tattva as Brahman. Some of us understand by Paramatma, and the devotees understand by Bhagavan. So, but they all three are spiritual. They are different aspects of the same Lord. So we went through, I think we did all that, and we did focus on Shruti, Smriti, and Nyaya. So Nyaya is one of those wisdom. It's let's consider them as the commandments. Nyaya, if you think of it's is kind of decision. So what happens based on the logical understanding, we can make the decision if this is right or this is wrong. These are kind of commandments, or these could be commandments. A lot more studies there about Nyaya, but majority of the Vedic Shastra, the scriptures, they've been split into Shruti and Smriti. So Shruti, we said Veda and Upanishad, Smriti, Purana and Itihasa, Itihasa, Ramayana and Mahabharata. तो हम देख सकते हैं जितने भी हमारे शास्त्र हैं, वो शास्त्र के अंदर जितना भी ज्ञान है, वो ज्ञान हम 3 हिस्सों में बंटता है. एक न्याय है जिसको हम वेदांत सूत्र भी कहते हैं, जो बिल्कुल कमांडमेंट की तरह रहते हैं, और उनसे हम लॉजिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग भी डिड्यूस कर सकते हैं. बहुत सारी चीजें हैं उसके अंदर, लेकिन वो बहुत बड़ा हिस्सा नहीं है, वो छोटा सा हिस्सा है. जो बाकी का ज्ञान है उसको हम 2 तरीके से समझ सकते हैं, 2 भागों में बांट सकते हैं. एक श्रुति, श्रुति का लिटरल मतलब है सुनना, और स्मृति जो ज्ञान सुना है वो सुनकर किसी ने याद करके, स्मृति करके किसी को बताया है. तो जो श्रुति है वो डायरेक्टली सुनी है, जो स्मृति है वो सुनी है, सुनने के बाद याद करी है, और फिर उसके अंदर अपनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग लगा के आगे बताई गई है. तो जो वेद हैं, जो उपनिषद हैं, वो श्रुति में आते हैं, लेकिन जो पुराण और इतिहास हैं, इतिहास के अंदर रामायण और महाभारत आते हैं, वो स्मृति के अंदर आते हैं. So this is also the understanding which we have discussed this before, but also been re-emphasized here in Shri Īśopaniṣad. So if we move further, and we have touched base on few of those things already, so let's go for it. So scholars deny, but all acharyas accept. What does that mean? There are many things. Now, who is a scholar? A scholar could be someone who knows Sanskrit very well, right? So Mataji said Mataji is English teacher. So somebody could know English very well, right? But if somebody knows English, that doesn't mean that that person will understand all the literatures written in English, right? That doesn't mean that that person will understand a very scientific or technical paper written in English. That person understands the language. So that person could be a scholar of the language, but might not understand the meaning behind that language. And this is the difference between scholars and acharyas. तो अगर हम scholars और आचार्य की बात करें, तो स्कॉलर कोई ऐसा हो सकता है जिसको भाषा का बहुत अच्छा ज्ञान है, जैसे कि इंग्लिश, अंग्रेजी का किसी को ज्ञान है, या संस्कृत भाषा, संस्कृत का किसी को बहुत अच्छे से ज्ञान है. लेकिन अगर किसी को संस्कृत समझ में आती है, संस्कृत की सारी वोकैबुलरी, ग्रामर सब समझ में आता है, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि अगर हम उनको स्कॉलर कहें, ऐसे संस्कृत का स्कॉलर कोई भी संस्कृत के अंदर रिटन, कोई भी संस्कृत के अंदर लिखित किसी भी ग्रंथ को लेकर पढ़ पाएगा, समझ पाएगा और उसकी व्याख्या कर पाएगा, क्योंकि सब्जेक्ट मैटर एक्सपर्ट होना बहुत जरूरी है रादर देन लैंग्वेज एक्सपर्ट. ऑब्वियसली अगर दोनों ही हो तो बेस्ट है, लेकिन अगर दोनों ना भी हो तो सब्जेक्ट मैटर एक्सपर्ट लैंग्वेज एक्सपर्ट से ज्यादा बेटर है. अगर कोई अलोन कंपेयर टू रिलेटिवली कंपैरिजन हो रहा है, तो इसलिए यहाँ पे कहा गया है कि बहुत सारे ऐसे स्कॉलर्स हैं जो इस चीज को नहीं मानेंगे क्योंकि वो सिर्फ लैंग्वेज में जाएंगे, लेकिन जो आचार्य हैं, जो सब्जेक्ट को समझते हैं, उन्होंने इस चीज को एक्सेप्ट किया है. So what are we discussing here in Shri Īśopaniṣad is who is Ishwar. So and direct what Ishwar does. तो हम श्री ईशोपनिषद में डायरेक्टली ईश्वर के बारे में समझेंगे, भगवान के बारे में समझेंगे. भगवत गीता के अंदर 5 टॉपिक आते हैं, जो भगवत गीता के अंदर जो भी जितने भी वर्सेस हैं 700, वो इन 5 टॉपिक के बारे में ही बात करते हैं. इसमें से एक ईश्वर है, पर श्री ईशोपनिषद में एक ही टॉपिक है और वो ईश्वर है। इस वजह से जो हम उपनिषद मानते हैं, जितने भी उपनिषद हैं उसके अंदर से श्रील प्रभुपाद जी ने श्री ईशोपनिषद सेलेक्ट किया। स्पेशली जो हमारी भक्ति शास्त्री की स्टडी होती है उसके अंदर ये ग्रंथ आता है। So as I was saying, we initially there was a time when we only had Karma Kanda, then Gautam Buddha came, and then that was a Shunyavad. He rejected all the Vedas, all the Brahmins who were following the Vedic injunctions for the personal benefits. Then Shankaracharya ji came, who re-established the Vedas in form of Brahman realization, and he focused on Upanishads. And then moving forward, Madhvacharya ji came, or first Ramanujacharya, then Madhvacharya ji, who actually explained that it's not Advaita, it's a Dvaita. And then Srila Prabhupada ji came, who explained that it's actually both. So we are simultaneously same and different. So we are qualitatively same as God and quantitatively different. We are part and parcel of the God. God is, Lord is, Krishna is Satyachit Ananda, and we also Satyachit Ananda. The quantity of Satyachit Ananda is different. That's it. So जिस तरीके से हमने कहा कि गौतम बुद्ध आए, उससे पहले कर्म कांड होता था, गौतम बुद्ध ने आके शून्यवाद का प्रचार किया, उन्होंने वो कर्म कांड बंद किए, और उसके बाद में जब शंकराचार्य जी आए, उन्होंने अद्वैत का प्रचार किया और उन्होंने वेदों को वापस एस्टेब्लिश किया, उपनिषद को, और उन्होंने फोकस किया ब्रह्मन रियलाइजेशन के ऊपर। उसके बाद हमारे पास रामानुजाचार्य जी आए, जिन्होंने फिर द्वैत का प्रचार किया, और फिर माधवाचार्य जी जिन्होंने वशिष्ठ द्वैत हम जिसे कहते हैं उसका प्रचार किया, फिर चैतन्य महाप्रभु जी जिन्होंने इस चीज को अचिंत्य भेद अभेद को उन्होंने बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया, और उसी को गौड़ीय संप्रदाय आगे फॉलो करता है। तो ये कुछ आचार्य के नाम हैं। तो माधव जी, माधवाचार्य, शंकराचार्य और भगवद गीता, रामानुजाचार्य, रूप गोस्वामी जी, Shat Goswami, the top 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Rupa Goswami ji is one of those prominent acharyas, and he has written many beautiful granths for us. So Nectar of Instruction and Nectar of Devotion. So there are some scriptures Rupa Goswami ji ने जो उपदेशामृत जो हम आगे करेंगे श्री ईशोपनिषद के बाद में, और भक्ति रसामृत सिंधु, नेक्टर ऑफ डिवोशन, वो रूपा गोस्वामी जी ने लिखे हैं ये ग्रंथ। तो ये आचार्य हैं जो गौड़िया मठ के हम मान सकते हैं, या इनकी फिलॉसफी से हम धीरे धीरे गौड़िया मठ तक पहुंचे हैं। लेकिन लॉर्ड चैतन्य महाप्रभु जी हैं जिन्होंने अंतिम मैसेज दिया, और उसी को हम फॉलो करते हैं। अगेन जस्ट टू एम्फसाइज, श्रुति इज हियरिंग, सो श्रुति इज द मदर, स्मृति is Smriti is saying hearing. Smriti is also hearing, but this is the remembrance, not the direct perception, and that's why it's a bit less. So there is a child, a brother, if we say, so the brother will hear directly from the mother, or the sister might give the message to the brother saying that mother has said that. So that's what Smriti is. तो अगर माँ ने डायरेक्ट एक बच्चे को मैसेज दिया है तो वो श्रुति है, बच्चे ने डायरेक्टली माँ से सुना है, श्रुति। लेकिन अगर बड़ी बहन ने माँ से सुन के अपने छोटे भाई को कोई मैसेज दिया है और ये कहा है कि ये काम आपको करना है क्योंकि माँ ने ऐसा कहा है, तो उसको हम स्मृति कहते हैं। तो ये एनालॉजी है जिसके पर्पस से हम समझ सकते हैं श्रुति और स्मृति क्या है। अगर अभी तक कोई क्वेश्चन हो, कोई कमेंट हो, अदरवाइज हम आगे बढ़ेंगे। Right, okay. So we still left with 13 minutes. Let's introduce one more thing, and this concept itself is very complete. So Isha, so we say Ishwar. Who is Ishwar? So who is Krishna? These are so Krishna is someone who is attractive, right? Ishwar is somebody who is a supreme controller, right? So as I said in Bhagavad Gita, there are 5 topics. One is Ishwar, somebody who is a controller, and Krishna mentioned number of times in Bhagavad Gita that I am this. So many verses he said, I'm I'm the taste in water, right? Out of mountain, I'm this mountain. So Krishna is saying, I'm the Ishwar there. Right? Īśopaniṣad, the one who controls everything. No one else could be that. We love to be the controller, but we are not the controller. Sooner we understand, better it is. But a new concept could be, in material sense, it's an old concept. I'm sure all of us will understand, but spiritually, it's a bit different to understand. So let's try to understand. Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. So Sambandha, it's a Sanskrit word, but very close to Hindi also. Sambandha. Sambandha is the relationship. So हम हिंदी में अगर समझना चाहें, जैसे हमने बात करी कि ईशोपनिषद में ईश जो वर्ड आता है उसका मतलब है सुप्रीम कंट्रोलर. तो हर वर्ड का जो भगवान वर्ड है वो पराशर मुनि ने डिफाइन किया है कि भगवान वर्ड का क्या मतलब है. कृष्णा मोस्ट अट्रैक्टिव जो होता है उसका मतलब कृष्णा है. राम का क्या मतलब है, बलराम का क्या मतलब है. ये जो संस्कृत के जितने भी वर्ड्स हम भगवान के लिए यूज करते हैं उन सबका एक मतलब है. ऐसे ही जो ईशोपनिषद में जो ईश्वर का मतलब है वो सुप्रीम कंट्रोलर जो सब कंट्रोल करता है. तो इसको हम इस तरीके से समझ सकते हैं. लेकिन तो ये कंसेप्ट अगर क्लियर हो तो हम दूसरे कंसेप्ट की तरफ चलें जो है संबंध, अभिधेय एंड प्रयोजन का. संबंध हमारे लिए समझना इजी है. संबंध रिलेशनशिप, हम कहते हैं ये हमारे संबंधी हैं, ये हमारे रिलेटिव हैं. अभिधेय, what could be the abhideya? Anyone would like to guess? Abhideya is also a very, very famous. Anyone would like to guess?
I mean, in my way, does it mean establishing? We know the supreme. Abhideya means the process of establishing this relationship or going further.
Very nice, Mataji. Thank you so much. Yes, Abhideya is the process. And then Prayojan, so it's much easier for us to understand now that Prayojan is the goal, ultimate goal. So Sambandha, what our relationship? So we are Jiva and there's a Ishwar. So what's the relationship between us, between Jivatma and between Jivatma and Paramatma, between Bhagavan and us? What's the relationship between us? Then Prayojan is the goal. What is the goal of this? The goal of the life. So obviously already mentioned 126 that Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa. So the whole purpose of the life is, but that's the purpose, right? But what is the goal? And we will discuss that. And then Mataji mentioned Abhideya, which is the process that we know the relationship with God. And once we will understand we understood the relationship, we understood what the goal is, where we need to end up. And what is the process, how to achieve that goal? Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, please.
Yes, Prabhuji. Isha means supreme controller, but in a sort of vague manner or in a loose meaning. Can we equate that to Krishna?
Yes, yes. Very nice, Mataji. Thank you so much. So that's the beauty. So when we read something standalone, then it could be confusing. But when we read all that and our perspective get widens, then we can understand. And this is what's happening. And that's why I said the difference between scholars and acharyas, because acharyas, they understand the subject matter. So here it's only say Ishwar. So in Shri Īśopaniṣad, we will not get the name of Krishna. We will not. None of the mantras will say that Ishwar is Krishna. But then we have to go through Srimad Bhagavatam. And in Srimad Bhagavatam or Brahm Samhita, in Brahm Samhita, Lord Brahma, he has said, so when he came down and he said, so sorry, Krishna. And then Krishna said, whoa, what are you doing? I'm just a little child. And Brahma said, no, 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 don't you mess around with me. I know who you are my father. And Krishna said, what are you talking about? Everyone knows that Narayan, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, he is your father. And then Brahma said, but you are the Ishwar. You are even the controller of Narayan. Narayan is your expansion. You are doing Leela. I know you've been mesmerizing me. I understood it now. And then Krishna accepted that, and Krishna said, now your understanding is correct. And then he explained that why did I do that Leela? So wow, the whole pastime, what happened between Krishna and Brahma. And similarly, Indra also did it. And another example of Adi Devas. Hare Krishna Mataji, you would like to add something?
Just before you continue, if it's okay, I was just remembering that there is that verse in the Brahma Samhita as well. I can share. Janavi very nicely sings it on one of her tracks. It goes, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karanam. I can't go as low as her, but it says Ishvara Parama Krishna. The supreme Ishvara is Krishna. Sachidananda Vigraha, the complete embodiment of eternality, knowledge, and bliss. And then Sarva Karana Karanam. Right? He's the cause of all causes, the source of all causes. We think, we might think, I'm an Ishvara because I'm sort of some leader or something, but then I have a mother and father. They are sort of, above me. And then they have a mother and father. And then they. And then when you get all the way up to the top and you get to Krishna, then some people say, okay, but then who's Krishna's father? No one, because he's the source. Oh, nice. You can hear.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so very much, Mataji. That's so true. In Brahma Samhita and in any of the ISKCON temples, right in the morning, in Mangla Arti, that's Brahma Samhita. Those are the verses being recited in the morning, and they are beautiful. So if you haven't had the experience already, then by all means, please, especially if you happen to be in Vrindavan or even here at Bhaktivedanta Manor, it happens around 4:30 in the morning, and those are the verses. Thank you so much, Mataji, for singing those. And if anyone would like to, I will put the verse here. If you try that in YouTube, you will find it. These are the verses from Brahma Samhita. So Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha. So we already mentioned Satya Chitta Ananda. So this is what Brahma is saying to Lord Krishna. So thank you, Puja Mataji. You raised the question that Ishwar, it says supreme controller, but who is Krishna? Who is that supreme controller? It's Krishna, and that's been mentioned somewhere else, like in Brahma Samhita, even in Padma Purana, a lot of places in Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is what I was saying, that this is the wider perspective. So when we read different scriptures, we can reach to the conclusion. And that is the correct conclusion. If somebody might just read, and I won't take the name, but somebody from a prominent teacher from another religion takes one of the verse from Īśopaniṣad, and he says that Hindus, they pray in the temple, they have their statues. But in Īśopaniṣad, it says that the God doesn't have eyes or hands or legs. They should never do that, because it says in Upanishad, and he recites one of the verses here. But that's where he might understand Sanskrit, or it's easy these days to get the translation from Sanskrit to English, but that's just the literal meaning of it. You need to understand the context, the way Mataji mentioned for Brahman as well, and that's the true understanding. Otherwise, even I think in Google, if we say maybe the founding Acharya or philosopher of Indian or Hindu or Vedic religion, then I think Shankaracharya's name will come, because he was, after a long time, he was the very first one who came and who started Upanishads back, which was great for us. But then again, we need to understand there was a purpose for his Brahman realizations teaching then. Thank you so much, Mataji. I've just noticed you have shared the YouTube video there, and indeed, it's if you haven't for others, if you haven't heard already, then it's such a musical treat from Janvi Mataji, who is famous for her kirtans. So please, when you get the chance, go along and check this track. Beautifully sung by her. But the verses, the meaning of verses, it's beautiful itself. Yeah. Hare Krishna. So a minute left. So what we have covered today, we will resume back from Sambandha, Abhidya, and Prayojan. So because this is how. So what we see, the numbers at the front, invocation, and then this is mantra or verse 5, 4, 5, 8, 14. So when we will go and we will read all the verses, we haven't even started. We are still on background. But when we will go for, then we need to understand which verse is addressing which part of the spirituality. If you say for the bhakti, whether those verses are doing for the sambandha or for abhidya, the process. If you see the lot more compared to the other two, most of the verses are for abhidya because that's the process. And if you understand correctly, this is the devotional process. And that's why we are bhakta, we are devotees. And what the devotees will do? Devotees will do the devotional services. What are devotional services been explained in these verses in Shri Īśopaniṣad? And again, this is the benefit of following other acharyas because we have these categorization done by them. So we don't have to do what we call mental philosophical exercise ourselves, that we think, oh, this means that, this means that. No, our acharyas, they have explained it very well. So we just need to hear them and understand. Well, great. And Shrey says that he listens that every morning. Great. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much for your time, your presence, blessings. It's such a pleasure to have you today, and look forward for the continuation next Saturday, 9:30 in the morning. And I appreciate everyone's contribution. Look forward for more the next time come around, please.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everybody. Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Gurudev Maharaj ki jai. Samaved Bhakt Vrind ki jai. Jai jai.